Welcome to Soulblazing. I'm Lisa Haisha. My guest today is writer, director, co-creator of 2.5 Men, former producer of Big Bang Theory, and my husband, Lee Aronsohn.
Oh.
I didn't want to kiss you because I didn't want to ruin my makeup.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to ruin my makeup either.
Right.
Before we get started, I have a bone to pick with
Okay.
you, okay? And I'm sorry to do it in public, but this is the only way. For years, you've been hearing me say whenever our daughter says she wants something, I want a doggy, I want a pony, I want an iPad, I want an iPhone, I said, yeah, I want my own talk show, okay?
Yeah.
I want my own talk show.
Yes, you've been saying that.
You
from
took
day
my
one.
talk show.
Yeah, I know.
What's up with this?
Well, there's a reason.
Where's my talk show?
Well, you gotta, kiss up to me a little more. Maybe I'll make it happen for you.
Okay.
You know?
I just had to get that off my chest.
Okay, that's good because you were holding that anger
Yes,
in. She
yes.
got her own talk show. Dang.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Your turn. What are your grievances?
My grievances are, I have no grievances with you. You're like perfect.
We've got that on videotape, ladies and gentlemen.
Because we all, as our daughter says, we all have our own personality, and we should accept and be ourselves. So, yes.
Great.
Yes. So, you're on my show. What are you doing now with your life?
What am I doing now
Yes.
with my life? You don't know? Okay.
I know you're doing a documentary.
All right.
Yes, tell me about that.
All right. You've got to start with why I'm not doing television anymore.
Okay. So, Lee, why aren't you doing television anymore?
Good question, Lisa. I made my living in sitcoms for very many years. I started in 1977 on The Love Boat, and I've worked on dozens of shows and got very lucky at the end with 2 very, very successful shows, Big Bang Theory and 2.5 Men. I co-created 2.5 Men, and I helped run the show on Big Bang Theory. I didn't co-create Big Bang Theory. A lot of people get that wrong. But the thing is that after doing the same thing, basically the same job on many different shows, over a period of very many years, it's all glamorous and exciting at the beginning, but after a couple of decades, it's a job. And like any other job, it really stopped being fun for me after a while. And when you get to the point where you've got all the material things that you really reasonably need, then you have to start thinking about, well, what do I want to do? And I got to the point where it just seemed like a good time to step away from television. And then the question became, okay, what do I want to do with my life? Because I didn't think to myself, I want to leave sitcoms and go do X or Y or Z. I stepped away because I thought to myself, I'm not having fun doing what I'm doing anymore. I don't have to do it anymore. So maybe I can create the space in my life for something else to be important to me, if I put this aside. Because a lot of times, you can't find something new in your life unless you make the space for it. If you're walking along the road and you're carrying this big box of rocks and you see a gold coin on the sidewalk, you can't pick up the gold coin until you put down the box of rocks. And for me, sitcoms was the box of rocks, So I did that, and as you know, for about a year, I was kind of, what am I going to do now? And I don't know what I'm going to do. And an idea presented itself to me, and it was, the genesis of it was 40 years old. When I was in college in the early 1970s, I attended the University of Colorado at Boulder. And it was a real hippie town in those days. And there was a bunch of guys who were musicians who lived up in the mountains. I mean, real honest to God hippies, lived in school buses and cabins and teepees and stuff. And they would come down to campus and they would play music on the lawn. They called themselves Magic Music. They played acoustic instruments. They had a flute, they had a mandolin, they had some guitars, and they sang beautiful harmonies, and they had original songs, and I just loved them, you know, from the first time I heard them. And I would go hear them all over Boulder, wherever they would play for a couple of years, and then they disappeared. And I never heard anything about them again. I graduated in 1975 and lived my life, you know, moved to Los Angeles, did everything, you know, that people do growing up. But for all those years, I still remembered the songs. There was never any album, there was never any record. They really left almost no trace of their existence. But the songs stayed in my head. And, you know, when Ava was a little baby, one of the songs I would sing to her, actually, just from memory. And so I decided to start doing a little research, a little Google research, and I tracked down one of the members, former members of the band. And I decided, this is a story that nobody else is going to tell, because nobody else has heard of this band unless they were in Boulder in the early 70s.
Time, yeah.
I have the time, I have the resources, I have the love of the music. I decided to make a documentary, and for the last almost 3 years now, I've been working on that and recently finished it. And we premiered at the Woodstock Film Festival a couple of weeks ago, and in a couple of weeks from now, we're going to be at the Napa Valley Film Festival. And in February, we're going to be at the Boulder International Film Festival. And we're talking to distributors, and, you know, hopefully it will have a life. I didn't do it to make money. I didn't do it to advance any career. I don't know that I would ever want to do another documentary, but I feel great that I put myself into something that meant something to me, you know, that was important, and saw it through and told a story that hasn't been told, and resurrected some music that hasn't been heard in over 40 years. It turns out the band had these tracks, these demo tracks, that they had recorded back in the early 70s that had never been released, never been made in a record. Nobody had heard them except the band. And they sounded great. And so I scored the entire documentary with these vintage tracks. And I'm very proud of it.
That's wonderful.